India will see the reciprocal tariff slashing from 50% to 18% from US. But it has come with a condition that India will stop buying oil from Russia. India has also committed to the US that it will buy 500 US billion worth goods, $500 billion worth good from US, and will invest in energy and tech products from America. This deal is expected to sign in mid-March. Now all eyes are on this India-US trade deal. PM Modi has also confirmed the announcement of this deal on his official Twitter handles. Now we are here to discuss with international affairs expert Tridivesh Singh Maini is with us to discuss on this India-US trade deal. So sir, first of all, welcome to DNA.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thank you.
Sir, first of all, I want to know that how this India-US trade deal will benefit our country.
Okay, so first of all, see one caveat that as yet, unless we see the fine print, there are a lot of things which are not out still. See, and what happens these days is sometimes there's either too much of euphoria or there's too much of pessimism. For the time being, see commonsensically a trade deal, whenever you have a trade agreement, you make some concessions, and at a macro perspective, the consumer should also be benefiting from trade deals. Now, specifically in this, it's very premature to comment on what the benefits will be. But I would like to say it has come, there are two things. One, it has come as a sort of, it's come days after the India-EU FTA agreement. So it's very interesting. That agreement was done because of, wanting to diversify relations. And in the meanwhile, this has also happened. So I think when you just look at it, the face of it, so the 18% tariff on Indian goods, relatively, first of all, this is not the fine print, but compared to other countries, 18% is not a bad deal in that sense. Now, when people are saying that one of the criticisms is that, there's 0% on American goods, but that is a deal which has been given to other countries as well. It's not only India. So one is that aspect. Second is, in terms of when you look at it from 50%, it's come down to 18. So that way it seems it's beneficial. So I think on the whole, in the long run, we need to see the fine print, but the consumer will benefit. Many other sectors will open up. For the consumer will have more choices, like as in the case of the India-EU FTA. But right now, it's messaging, and it's very because as before the show began, we discussed that there are some areas where there are constraints. So it's very premature to be too euphoric about it. But I think the approach of not being too aggressive and being patient and not reacting to certain statements and jabs, I think that seems that it is the best approach possible given all the problems. So I think when we see the fine print, we'll know more. It's a mixed bag. Certainly at this point of time, symbolically it's very important. But what are the deeper benefits beyond what we can see? I think it's only when we see that fine print we'll have a better understanding of those.
So when we were talking about the benefit, the opposition is also claiming that PM Modi was committed about protecting the rights of farmers. But after this deal was done, there is some anxiety in farmers that it will gonna affect them. So how this deal is so promising, how this deal will be fruitful to the farmers without keeping our domestic producers at a situation of loss?
See, first of all, I think a senior official from the US administration made the statement in a tweet that India will be buying agricultural commodities. And last year, because of these tariff wars and everything, the agricultural sector in the US has suffered. Just giving a bit of background. So there, Trump has had to give a subsidy also to American farmers. Now, obviously, through this deal, they think that they can have an opening vis-a-vis India. This certainly is a very sensitive sector, and that's why I said that only when we see the fine print we will know. Because for all other sectors, it's fine that when you talk about competition, but our agriculture sector we certainly need to protect. Now, the Commerce Minister did say, after that tweet, he has said that, we haven't given in and all that. And there's also a belief that the Indian side sort of dug in its heels on certain issues, and the agricultural sector is obviously one of them. I think that's very important, the agricultural sector, because everything else, other sectors are, but it's not just the political aspect, the short-term politics which we get into, the economic aspect. And as I've told you, no country in the world can afford to ignore its farmers because of economic reasons. I told you Trump also gave a subsidy.
Fair enough.
So this is a very sensitive part, and hopefully on this also, when we see the fine print, that India has managed to stick to its stance, because this was one of the reasons, one of the stumbling blocks to concluding it. But America certainly is eyeing the Indian agriculture because of their domestic problems which they are facing in their agricultural sector. And as I told you, that even there they've had to give a subsidy. So that's just that we talk about other sectors, but how important the agrarian sector is for the economy, which we often miss out sometimes.
Actually, we were talking about farmers, but there is also one factor that Trump has put this condition that India has to stop buying oil from Russia. And I think 2 months, 2 months before Putin made a visit to India, and we have lots of promises with him also. So how this deal will affect India-Russia relationship? Do you think this deal will risk our relationship with Russia?
I think the India-Russia relationship is beyond that.
Okay.
I mean, and you see, there are a couple. See, I'd also like to make one point that those people, a lot of people who are now worried about Indian sovereignty because of not buying oil from Russia, and this is all in the realm, like the trade, like the fine print of that. This is in the realm of speculation. You see, what happens is there's an announcement. People think it's going to happen overnight. It happens in a tapered manner over a period of time. Now, Russia also understands, suppose it is beneficial for India to buy oil from Venezuela, that much understanding is there of other countries' interests. The symbolism is there. It will see, if you have to be critical of it in terms of sovereignty part, that will be there. But it will not happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. Little bit changes are always, some fluctuations are there, and every country has a right to diversify its oil sources. So I think the symbolism, the geopolitical part, that gets highlighted in this, and that is important also. I mean, you cannot deny that. But you see, I'd like to add a couple of caveats here. First is that even tariffs as a whole, as you would be knowing, as you discussed last time, a lot of things are going on the US courts. If this is struck down, right, the whole thing goes out of the window. This whole thing about tariffs and all, the dynamic will change. That's the first thing. Second thing is, as you said earlier, in any case with Trump, you really don't know. I mean,
he's very unpredictable.
Yes, yes. I mean, there are systems that now, as we've spoken often about the world order, we've spoken domestic politics. So that's why it's too early to make a pronouncement. But broad trends, certainly. Now, when you ask, just to go back to the first question, apart from, so here the sensitive issue is not just, you very rightly said, it's not just agricultural products, it's also oil. But there is talk that India will be buying more shale, from the shale oil from the US and all that. That's the first part, and even other commodities. And I just want to add that there's also the figure is also the $500 billion. Now, $500 billion, the imports from the US that seem they have to be over a period of time. Now, what is being said is it's going to be over a period of 5 years, and obviously it will be diversified. So when we see these figures, also you need to understand the fine print. Because the two figures which caused, I mean, this thing were one, the 0% tariffs on American goods in this 5. So this is over a period of time. But still that's very high, that amount of $500 billion
Yeah,
imports.
actually that was why one of my question, like if we go.
Because right now it's 72 billion, I think, the import.
Actually, in 2024, we have invested like 41.8 billion in the goods sector and 41.5 billion in the services sector,
right.
which amounts to 83 point something billion dollars. So, increasing the imports from 83 to $500 billion, the numbers seems to be a little bit dinky.
Exactly. Over a period of time, it's different. And also what diversification will take place. But as I said, these announcements and all, in the current situation, it could be much lesser than that also, the number. Right? Because, and let's also remember one thing, if it's over a period of time, over 2-3 years, again, I would like to always come back to that point that we ignore the domestic politics. Trump has little over 2 years. By next year, there'll be election season, then the midterms. What happens between the Democrats and the Republicans? What are the other pulls and pressures? And also, Trump often uses first he makes certain announcements, and after that, there is some sort of backtracking to some extent as well. I mean, that's par for the course in politics, but it's more with him. So it's too early to.
Actually, you are also saying this, that Trump is a very unpredictable man, and it's really hard to predict what will be his next move. So if we talk about the Venezuela oil, so if India starts buying oil from Venezuela, say for instance, India start buying oil from there. So if Trump once again decided to put another kind of tariff or another kind of internal conditions over here, so what could be the diplomatic change for us? Like if we start buying oil from Venezuela, what will happen?
It depends upon how much you diversify.
Okay.
How much, to what extent are you going to do a little bit?
Okay.
So are you doing it just for pure symbolism? Are you doing it also because you're economically benefiting? First of all, you have to see why it's being done, right? Because if it's, you see, the other thing is if it's only done for mere symbolism and there's no economic benefit, over here domestically also sends the wrong messaging. But if you are benefiting alongside with, if it helps the India-US relationship and you're benefiting from it, but this is one of the lesser things of concern because diversification can always, little bit diversification of your sources is, but commonsensically nothing wrong with it. Every month you're not going to have the same, I mean, countries change that, right? You diversify your basket, you look at other countries and all. If it's beneficial to you, it's fine. But if you're only going to do it because you have to assuage someone's, personal feelings or whatever else, then it's problematic. So this also needs to be looked at. But I think on the larger picture is at this point of time for me, the timing of the thing. The first is after all, if you look at the last couple of weeks, let's look at the global situation. First, there was a tussle between Trump and the Canadian Prime Minister, and not tussle, but an argument, verbal thing at this World Economic Forum, right? To some extent, both sides, both Canada and US, have softened their position on that. Then this whole thing about Greenland also, there has been a change in position.
Then US, Venezuela.
Yeah, then of course that is
then
there.
US, Iran.
That US, Venezuela, has whatever it's happened. US, Iran, again there is often a fluctuation. Now the talks, I think today in Oman probably there are talks between US. So you need to sort of bide your time sometimes and not react to everything. And I think this. I'd also like to make one point that in diplomacy, there are two things. One is that we often first, the political class ups the ante, and then the expectations of especially a core constituency that becomes very high. Then you can't, meet those expectations. So that is one problem. The other problem is opponent, when it comes to foreign policy, it's very essential that you don't unnecessarily criticize. This is not necessarily if it's a tactical sort of approach which is soft and nuanced, nothing wrong with that, because you have to see the nature of the leadership, the style of leaders you're dealing with. This often gets very highlighted that you've sold interests. That is that is a flippant sort of analysis. There are both sides to it, because when we say when there are elections and all this hyper nationalist sort of thing, that the expectations rise. So that side the core constituency expect that you'll do a lot. They will in any case support whatever side. This is a global thing. But on the other hand, the opposition also should it's important to understand that in certain sensitive relations or whatever, no government can unnecessarily take, there is no point of being muscular and then having the repercussions being problematic. So you should not push any government or these certain things. That unfortunately is happening, globally, that domestic thing is there. That's why there's no nuanced approach. There is no nuanced understanding of diplomacy, of foreign policy, of complex issues like whether it's trade deals or whether it's even more sensitive relations with other countries.
But India was like, for a very long period of time, it was said that if we won't get bullied from Trump. But this sudden trade deal is somewhere nobody was expecting. So what do you think that could have probably changed? Why this sudden change happened? What happened at the geopolitical scenario? That
so as I told you, it's a lot of it is just posturing first to get the best deal, right? From the other, I mean, Trump. That is what he does with all countries. First, he posturing in one direction. So for say 50% tariffs, say 100% tariffs, then try to squeeze the other side. Now then it depends upon you that how you negotiate and how you ensure that certain, I mean, you're given also to some extent, but minimal losses, right? But here I would again like to say it's not only every country is facing a problem, and even the allies. I mean, I think even vis-a-vis the allies, the tariffs are 15% on imports. So that's why 18% symbolically certainly seems a good deal. Now, what is behind that? How you're going to deal with the energy issue? How you're going to deal with the agricultural sector? And I think there should be more discussion on that. These are very serious issues. Yeah. Important issues.
Sir, actually, we have come close to the end of the discussion, but before that, I would like to close it with how do we finally see this upturn in India-US relationship? Is this India-US deal? How do you see?
I
this
think
upturn?
I would not call it an upturn. I would call it that for the time being, a downturn has been prevented, and probably there is a realization in the US also that this whole strategic relationship which was invested in for 25 over a period of time, you can't. I mean, there are some advisors, there are some in the establishment over there who realize it's a very important. So that is one aspect of it. The second is also the transactional approach of Trump, which is unpredictable, and obviously a lot of it was maybe just posturing, and then ultimately they were to sort of reach this point. So I think a mix of various factors, but as yet now, a lot of other developments will take place. So tough
After
to
the
really
signing
make.
of the
Yeah,
deal, yeah.
exactly.
Okay. So, thank you, sir,
Thank you.
for giving us
Thanks a
your
lot.
time.
Thank
And
you.
you are watching DNA. We were discussing about the India-US trade deal, which is going to be signed soon. If you have any questions regarding this deal, you can definitely put down in the comment section. If you have any topic suggestion for us, you can also comment down in the comment section. Till then, keep watching DNA.